Hi, Charlie Rose here, and we are going to work on getting our custom insert drawing that we did in a previous video, and we're going to show you how to dimension it and to put it into layout in a custom insert form that mimics what we currently have on there where we have to hand draw it out on graph paper. So hopefully this saves you some time. I think it's a cleaner look. It's an easy way to present it to the client to have them sign off on it as well. So let me show you and we'll dive right in. So here's the insert that we built previously. Now what we're going to go do is dimension it. Now this may be one of the things, and I can see here I'm going to have to move myself so I can find all my toolbars. But we're going to use the dimension tool, and it's a very easy tool to use. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it's not that complicated. But here it is here, the dimension tool. I'm going to select it, and we're going to start the dimension A and B measurements on this. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to come here. But what I want to do is get the A dimension. So this is what this is here. This is what manufacturing needs to know to be able to build this. And I'm going to draw it downward in this green plane so it's easy to see. I'm going to do the same thing for the B dimension. So I have to get close. That's helpful there to grab that corner. I'll zoom back out. And then zoom in up here. And then I'm going to drag it out in the red plane, or red axis there. Let's see how this looks, because you can still move those around after the fact. So with that, you can see I'm easily giving some dimensioning to manufacturing to build that, but they need to know other things. So let's go ahead and give them more dimensioning here. It's good to take this and draw it out further. And if I want to grab this and bring it out further, I can, but I can only do so if I have the dimensioning tool selected. If, for example, I have just the arrow selected, I can highlight it, but I can't move it. I can't do anything with it. I need to go back to the dimensioning tool and then select it, and that's going to allow me to move it. So I'm going to do that here and here both. So with this, what I'll do is now go in and start to dimension this. I'm going to try to line it up to make it easy for us to read. So let's go in here. We're going to zoom in close again, and we're going to orbit so that I can see this edge here and this edge here, and that shows me it's 49 millimeters. I'm going to do the same thing here to here, and it'll snap to this same dimension here. Now it's disappeared underneath the paper because I went over there, so we'll just make it snap going down in the green axes, and we're going to do that all the way across. And the last one here. Where'd you go? Sometimes it wants to hide on us. Escape, let's do that. We're going to delete that. Sometimes it behaves funny and it wants to go in one plane that we don't want it to. That's 158. So it should, if we take these measurements of 158, 45, 49, 48, 48, 49, total those all up and factor in 10 for each of those thicknesses, then it should add up. Now it may be off by 1 due to round off or anything. We'll want to get that corrected too. So there you can see, if we go back to the insert view, now we've got all those dimensions there. And we slide it up now, and I'm going to change my view. I'm going to right click and hit update, so my view is a little bit more in line there. Now, the further out you zoom out, these numbers stay constant in terms of size, so it gets a little bit jumbled up. So you don't want to get too far out and lose sight of what we're doing here. The other thing I like to do is get all the dimensions where they're easily readable and legible. So let's make sure that we continue to think along those lines. I'm going to go to this corner, avoid this corner, bring that out where it's clean. Do the same thing here. Make sure you get to where you can see that well. Orbit around. You'll bring that even with that. Get the inserts view to clean that up. So you can see I've got most of those done. So again, we total these to 89 and 406, so we should be at 595 plus the 10 millimeter thickness here gives us the 505. Other dimensions that we're going to need is we're going to need all the way across this full width, which we can do that. We can do it in the body of the insert. Sometimes I don't like to do that, but I'll show you that here. There's a lot of ways to change with this dimensioning tool. There are a lot of ways to do it with the dimensioning tool. So I'm going to go here, here, and we're going to show it. Show it that dimension. We already know what this dimension is here, so the 158, that can be figured out. So it should be the 158 plus the 280 plus the 10 should give us, so the 280 with 158, that gives us 438 plus the 10 here gives us 448. So that does check out. So now I need to know this dimension and this dimension. And so let's grab those. Let's find the easiest way to do that. I'm going to come right here and I'm going to actually do this one at the top. Hopefully it doesn't throw us off. Let's make sure this looks like we want it to look. It's 345. So that tells us this long knife section. We need to know this dimension here. And so I'm going to do it at the top edge as well. Again, hoping this doesn't throw us off. And that's 70 millimeters. And actually, let's slide that right in the middle. So that way I can line up this dimension from here to here. Line it up with that one. I may have to shift it a little bit. Let's shift that a little in that direction. So we can do the same thing here. That way, maybe a little bit more legible. So now if I look at this insert, we pan back out, we should have all the dimensions that we need that are going to make it easy for manufacturing to build this. I have the width of every single one of these, as well as the height, which is the 265. Same thing here. I've got this dimension. I don't have it per se. Let's get this dimension here, even though you could total all this up and it should work out. So let's do that. And I'm going to grab it at this corner, in this corner, and do that. So that gives us everything that we need to know in terms of being able to build this in manufacturing. There are some additional things that the installer has to do, which is give it the overall width, the overall height. And what we're using for that here, this is what we've been doing in the past. We draw this all out, we submit it into Wish Portal, and then the installer downloads it and they input this information here. Or maybe they work collectively and put this in all at the same time. But this is the information that has to be keyed in. And I'm going to show you how we drop it over in the layout to make that pretty simple for you. So let's bounce back over. So one of the things I notice as I'm looking at this, just to clean it up a little bit, we're going to select the dimensioning tool we have, and I want to move some of these because this can get a little confusing. So I'm going to take this one, move and alternate it, and move some of these down so that way they're not as hard to see. I think that cleans it up a little bit. Certainly don't have to do that. It depends on how it looks when you transition it over into layout. So that's what we're getting ready to do. So I'm going to go up here. It's very important that you do this step because if you don't, it will not work out correctly. You're going to do save. You've already created it, or we've already created this view here of the insert. So that's what we're looking at. We're going to go file now and we're going to send it to layout. And so in layout, I have created a template that matches what we have over on this page. So it looks like this at the top, or reasonably close to this. And then it has this bottom section that we can fill out here too. So what we'll be able to do hopefully is to make this a better process where we won't have to use that as much moving forward. So now that layout is opened, it has prompted me for, now it's behind it, you can't see it here. There we go. It's under My Templates. So if I click My Templates, I've got the one for the Shelf Genie template that we use for SketchUp for the normal. Here's the one for the custom insert. Now, what's nice about this, you got to do some centering up. So I'm going to select this just like you would before. You're going to come over to your SketchUp model. Now, this is all, I'm not going to go into too much detail. We've done this before in layout, but I want the insert view, and I'm going to hit reset all, and it brings it right in here. And we may have to move it around a little bit. Remember how we click in? You can pan over by hitting the shift button and holding down on the left click button on your mouse. Maybe different for Mac, or maybe different depending upon how you have it configured. But that gives us all the information that we have right there. So now it's input here. You can go to the top, input your client, designer package, all this other information up here. Let me zoom in, that'd be easier. So each of these has its own field. It's easy to, you can delete a field. You can delete this whole blue section. It's not complicated to fix it back. You could just take one of these and copy and paste it and bring it up there. If you have problems with that, certainly ask, and we can walk you through that process. At the bottom, this gives the sections where the installer can go in and put the total insert width. Here it shows 448. The depth is 505. The divider height, that's something once they go out, they're going to have to determine, does it go into one of our shelves? Does it go in or one of our drawers or an existing drawer? And the installer can figure that out. Now, this is things that the designer can do as well. Each location probably does things differently, but the general practice that we like to adhere to is the designer is going to be the one working with the client. So they're going to come up with this design, get the dimensions right here in terms of how things are spaced out, then turn it over to the installer to verify the height, the overall width, the overall depth, and factor those things into place to get that placed into the order, uploaded, and go from there. So once all this stuff is done, it's pretty straightforward. You're just going to file it and save it and print it. So save it whatever you want to save it as. I am going to show you how to go ahead and straight to print. And we want to print it as a PDF file. So we print it as a PDF file. What that's going to allow us to do, I'm going to close that out. What that allows us to do is get it in a PDF format where everybody uses different PDF readers. It could be Adobe, it could be through your internet browser, but whatever that might be, once you get it in PDF format and upload it, it's user friendly for others to be able to use some kind of PDF write and put the numbers in here, the measurements if need be, and make those kind of inputs there as necessary. So real easy way to do this. I hope this is something that benefits us all. I think it's a clean way to be able to show clients how to how we're going to design the custom insert. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Be glad to help. Thank you.